All right, guys, today in this episode, we have the legendary artist, legendary filmmaker, amazing creator, Jasmine Quinones. Did I pronounce her last name right?
You actually did. You got that. You got that. One of the only people who has been able to pronounce it right.
That's why I just say Q. I'm not trying to mess
that's
it
why
up.
I go by JQ, so it's fine.
I just like hyping people up. I like pronouncing their whole name. You know, John Scotty, Zay Patel, Jasmine Quinones, right? I think I pronounced it right again. I just love it.
That was closer than anyone else has gotten.
Yeah.
He got legendary. legendary. GOAT status. Oh.
Exactly. But I think this is a special episode because you have known Ian for a very long time. You guys have worked together.
God, it feels like a long time, but it really hasn't been.
Really?
No, it actually hasn't.
Like 3 years?
That's a long time to me.
I guess.
Okay.
3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I have known him since like 2020, 2021.
Yeah, so our first ever podcast, I was on her podcast in 2020. That's like when we actually met for the first time.
Yeah.
Wow.
TBT when I had a podcast.
Yeah, the time that you lived like 10 different lives.
Yeah. And little did I know that one podcast would change my life forever.
Bloom a beautiful friendship.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
for real. What's up, bro?
What's up?
My best friend, my homie's in the studio.
Hello.
I mean, I think the only person to give appropriate background about Jasmine would be you, Ian, right?
Oh God, dude.
He's like, shit, I don't know anything about her actually.
Nah, I do. Yeah, so Jasmine, I kind of explained the entire situation of this podcast. It's like humanizing the experience of, and you're honestly the best person to do this because great writer, like talking about it. We're in our depressy, stressy all the time.
Always. Yeah.
So yeah, just talk to us more about like your experience as a individual in the space. Like, what is it like to be Jasmine?
What is it like to be Jasmine? It's not that fun, to be honest. Yeah. No, clearly you and I talk all the time. I talk to Ian all the time. It's really crazy because I feel like, I don't really know Chris as well. Mm-hmm. But I feel like you just got this whole like very positive, very like, always energetic and smiling. And it's not that I'm not that way.
Yeah.
But I just feel like I'm just having a bi-weekly meltdown at all times in this career and in this space. Ian can attest to that because we both have bi-weekly meltdowns like all the time. So it's funny when you were talking about like, oh, like this podcast is called Creatively Stressed. And I was like, boy, I am creatively stressed all the time to the point where I actually am. I love what I do, but it is like, I think I put like an extra amount of like pressure on myself to keep pushing that needle forward when it comes to like making anything. It doesn't even matter if it's a client project, if it's my own project. I'm like constantly trying to like, I feel like I am trying to constantly reinvent the wheel, and it's very tiresome, very tiresome.
It's funny to me because she's like trying to constantly reinvent the wheel, but I think like you are the wheel sometimes. Like you're always overthinking it, and it's like
always
you and you just inspire just by being you, which is fascinating to me. Like you've even changed my life and my career trajectory, but then you're at home like fucking like, what do I do?
I'm at home like,
I'm like, Jasmine, just fucking talk, bro. You could like, tell a phone book story.
Dude, I can because I have times like, it's just like, it's really funny the perception that people have, like, because they're always like, oh, Jasmine, like you're killing it, or like you're doing this, you're doing that, and you're gonna like, and I think in part, like I put a lot of pressure on myself, but then also when I make something that is really successful, I start to immediately like overthink that because I'm like, well, I just made something that really spoke to people, really hit on people. I think that's been happening a lot lately because I've been putting more emphasis on making like very personal short films, simply because like I've been creative since I was like a child. Like that's like the only thing I've ever done in my life was be creative. So that's also the only way that I know how to like navigate my emotions. So it's hard because it's my job, but it's also the only thing that I feel like I have ever been really good at is being a creative human. So then it gets tough for me because I'm toying the line of like, this is something that I actually just need to do in my life to feel okay.
Yeah.
But it's also my livelihood, my way of making money. And I think that blurred line is really, really difficult for me to like navigate.
All right. And for the listeners and viewers that don't know, you are a director, a filmmaker, cinematographer, content creator. Is there another one?
In the world.
Yeah. Coolest person in the world. Amazing skater as
y'all,
well.
Y'all need to relax. Yeah.
Hollywood status.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
y'all need to chill.
She be acting.
Yeah.
She be
I really do be doing
She be teaching.
the most.
Lighting the best scenes ever.
Doing
but-
too much.
Yeah. An overall scheme though. And, for the people that don't know Jasmine, right? Like, when did it all start for you when you picked up the camera to this point now where you've made your short films, where you've worked with Fuji on a project and just everything else? Where did it all begin?
I mean, it all began in the end of, actually, no, that's a lie. I would say it began in my 8th grade theater class.
Oh.
Because when I was in 8th grade, my theater teacher was like, okay, we're going to have a video project and you guys are just going to get to like essentially make a movie. And that was the first time I think I ever like used a camera, I typed out a script, like a dead serious, a movie script, like in the same format that like I learned all of those things when I was 14. But I never took it seriously. I mean, I'm 14. I didn't take it seriously. I was like, haha, we're just making a silly movie. But I think that's where it like truly, truly started was then, because we made this entire it was like a spoof like horror film.
Right.
So it was like a joke of a film. But that was the first time I actually made something from start to finish, like script, filmed it. Of course, I acted in it as well because I act in everything that I do. Apparently, maybe I'm trying to be an actress.
Yes.
I don't know.
Everything.
But I acted in it and then I edited it on iMovie.
Whoa.
And then after I did that, I started making like these really cringy YouTube videos. Like they're so cringy. They're not even on the internet anymore. But I started making No, you will not find them. You will not find them. They were like very YouTube vlog, when you're 14 style. So I think I picked up like editing habits or like shooting habits like way back then. But then I went to college. Like I went all throughout high school, all throughout college. And I did not ever think that like filmmaking or anything related to video was ever going to be like an actual career. I just, that was impossible. I think right when I was in college, like
what were you studying in college actually?
Communication.
Oh.
Well, it's funny because I went to college. I went to college undecided though. I went undecided and then you're gonna laugh at this. And then I switched my major to nutrition.
Oh shit.
Which is hilarious because Ian is like,
I'd be trying to help her with her nutrition.
Yeah, Ian's like, you're the least nutrition person ever. Yeah. So I think it's because my parents instilled in me that like I needed to go to school for something that was either business based or science based, like health, like a doctor or something like that. Like they were like, in order to survive in this world, you got to do one of those two things. And then I remember being in a nutrition major and I was like trying to do chemistry and stuff. I was like, I don't know how to, I was like, I'm terrible at math. I don't have any interest in science, like nothing. So then I switched majors to one of my friends was like, why don't you just be a communication major? Like you seem like you'd be good at that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I was good at that kind of stuff. However, my education in college, I went to a state school. Like it was a very vague education. Like I don't feel like I learned anything truly in that school. But near the end of my college career, I started taking interest in filmmaking. So I interned at a TV station that was nearby the college. And so then I started actually picking up like real cameras. Like I think the first real camera I picked up was a Panasonic GH4. That was like the first real camera I picked up. The ones before that, it was like I was using the little like cool pics, like little cameras, and I was attempting to like make videos on that. So it started then. I definitely got the itch to make videos right as I was about to graduate. So I really just went to school right as I was about to graduate. I was like, I think I like video stuff. Started trying to intern at a TV station and then I really got into video. Like I dove deep, and then this was the era when like right as I graduated college, this was the era of travel video and Sam Colder like exploded at this time and concert videography exploded at that time. And then I was like, oh, I'm in it. Like I want to do that. Like I was like, I want to be a travel videographer. I want to do the whole Sam Colder thing. Like I was that person. Like everybody was. Everybody was trying to be Sam Colder. So that's how I started. And then I slowly but surely over the last, I don't know, how many years has it been? 7 years.
How many years has it been?
I think it's been 7 since like 2017. That's like 7 years ago. Yeah, I've been like slowly but surely trying to figure out like what my thing is in filmmaking. And I still feel like I'm trying to figure that out. I think I've finally figured out that I love doing sports stuff. So I do a lot of sports stuff with Ian, a lot of sports commercials. I love anything that's high energy. And then on the flip side of that, I also have found a love for like short film making. And I'm starting to dive more into like the narrative style and trying to figure out how do you mesh, like how am I going to mesh like narrative with more commercial filmmaking and see if I can fuse the two so that I don't have to keep them so separate all the time. So that's kind of that's the journey that I'm having right now is like, what's the work that I'm going to make that is going to make me money? And what's the work that I'm going to make that's going to fulfill my soul, but also like be that art part of myself that I still feel like I need to do because like I said, that's the only way that I feel like I really process emotions. That's just an outlet for me to make films. So, but it's tough because I've seen a lot of success from my short personal films in terms
one
of
TikTok video did like 700,000 views. She's
well,
like,
I say success because it's just interesting because it's like it's success in a way that's like a lot of people really attached to the short films that I've made over the past year. I think the first one I dropped was like The Side Effects of Heartbreak. That was like a 1.5, like maybe 3-minute film where that was like the first time I was really diving into this like poetic, like storytelling narration over some really pretty visuals that I shot in my house. But everybody just like loved that film. And I was I was not expecting that response. And then I didn't do another one really in that style until the one that I just released, which was called New Year, Same Me. And again, that was a 1.5-minute film, but it completely took off. Like on TikTok, it took off on even Instagram, which is a little harder to kind of take off on Instagram, but it got a lot of response. And I think, and those two films, as well as the kind of educational pieces I was putting out, they started to get me noticed by all these filmmaking brands. Like Rode reached out, Music Bed reached out, Artlist reached out. Like all of these people were all of a sudden starting to reach out. And I already did have a connection with Fujifilm. Yeah. And so I think people see those things and they're like, whoa, Jasmine, you're killing it. Like all these brands are hitting you up. Like you have all these views on TikTok. And I'm like, yes, but on the other hand, like I'm still here like everybody else. Like I didn't get a single job all January.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think people really realize that, oh, just because I made these films that really popped off on TikTok, or just because I'm working with Fujifilm, or just because Rode hit me up and I did a project with them, like, I still go through the same thing that everybody else is going through. I literally didn't get a single job all January.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm going to get a single job all February either.
Well, she's going to Japan for Fuji. Just calm down. You get to travel with Fuji. But anyway, this is why I thought Jasmine would be like the perfect person for this specific podcast too. Not only just because we're best friends, we create everything together and we have fun, but like you and I have some real deep conversations.
Oh, all the time.
And like introspected thoughts and profound things. And like from the outside perspective, everyone thinks we're just straight up fucking killing it.
I know.
And like,
I'm like,
from an inside point of view, from having conversations daily, we're like, dude, we're dying. I'm dying. Like, what do I do? Where's my voice? I'm stressed, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what to create. Or like these massive expectations you put on yourself because of the success that you think that you have to constantly just like recreate the exact same thing you're doing over and over, which can be stressful because like scripting is fucking hard anyways.
Right. And it's hard because the things that I make for myself, they bring me success in one type of way, but then on the other hand, okay, if I only make short films that are for me, that's what I really fills my cup because I get to connect with people that way. But unfortunately, like, brands are not looking for me to make a film about how depressed I am. You know what I mean? Like, so that's the other that's the flip side, is that I have to battle with, okay, I need to make sports spec work because I want to get work in the sports industry. However, me trying to be a director, I'm trying to break through a completely new field that I don't have any real experience in. I don't have experience directing commercial level campaigns. Surprisingly, I've been asked to direct commercial level campaigns, but that industry is so different than just being a freelancer and being asked to do something. Because when you're a director and you're getting sought out by agencies have to bid for these projects, and then they put you up as a director and they start, you're being like auctioned off as a director for these campaigns, but you have the chance to lose that campaign. Like I've been put up for like a handful of campaigns for really massive brands that I was like, whoa, this is very scary. But I lost all of them. I got very close to winning the job, but I lost all of them. So trying to do what I'm trying to do right now is not easy. And I look at people, who have a lot of local retainers.
We just had John in here.
Yeah. So John has a
completely opposite.
John has a completely different business model than I do.
Yeah. He's
got a bunch of local retainers. That makes it so that he's pretty stable all the time. Like, so it's interesting because people are like, oh, well, Jasmine is doing all this crazy successful stuff. And I won't lie, I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I've had, because it is very cool to work with brands like that I've looked up to, like Rode and Fujifilm, and I do get to travel with Fujifilm soon.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I'm comfortable. All the downside of those things is that, yes, I get to experience these dream scenarios and these dream gigs, but I'm not experiencing a dream gig every day of the week. Yeah. So the other times when I'm not experiencing this dream gig with Fujifilm, guess what? I'm here at home being like, well, don't got any jobs right now. So, now what do I do? So it's a give and a take. Like the business model that I've chosen is definitely, it's stressful. It's very stressful because I don't have retainers. I don't have constant money coming in. I just put my faith in the universe, my own drive, my own passion. And it has paid off, but I'm still not, there's people who make a ton more money than I do. There's people who don't have any social media presence, nothing. All they do is make corporate videos and real estate videos. And guess what? They make way more money than I do.
Yeah.
So it's like, what business model do you want to do? Like, what do you want to do? There's stress in every type of way that you approach this career.
Right. And I think this is the cool part, because we're now breaking down the illusion, breaking down the wall of like the crazy amount of feedback and views that you have gotten over the short films that you made, but then the realism of like, look, this is what's real. Well, this is what I'm doing at home. I'm at home right now. You know?
Right. Yeah. Like, and so I'm not going to say that those films and those things haven't brought me high-paying jobs, or they have brought me high-paying jobs. They have put me in really, really cool scenarios. But just because you do a project with Fujifilm doesn't mean that all your problems are solved and now you're making a ton of money. No. Right. I've worked with Fujifilm on many projects before now. I just worked with Rode. I just signed with MusicBed. That sounds like a great, what is it, like boast or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm like, it's cool, but that doesn't mean that I'm sitting here now swimming in the cash, like with no care in the world. Like, nah, I'm still like.
It's a cool perspective for me too, because I always thought that was the case. Like if you would sign with like these sponsored companies that you were winning, like you were in it. And it's interesting, a perspective of mine being great friends with you and talking to you every day, like, oh, it's not that glamorous.
No,
it really is. It's cool.
It's very,
to say that your name's attached to it, but it's really not that glamorous.
Right.
And I think our very first podcast we ever had, I've kind of like switched gears a little bit, but I said like, you have to invest in your business to be able to create the art that you want. And she was like, well, I'm going to do it my way. I'm just going to only create art. And it has worked for her. And I've kind of blended into that. And I'm like, oh shit, I've lost track of the business side a little bit. I got to go back. Like I got to make the money to be able to create the art that I want to create, to have fun days with Jasmine, just creating random shit or putting $3,000 into a short film for no reason, just because I wanted to create a short film. So it's,
so it's a lot of give and take, and it sucks because I am someone that goes so hard in one direction, but then it's also difficult because then I'm like, oh God, like I don't have any retainers. So like if I'm not getting any big directing gigs, or if Fujifilm's not calling me up, or if Rode is not calling me up, guess what? Like I'm home with no money. And I've gotten myself in a weird position where now I look like I'm too good to do local work. Like because people have this perception that's completely wrong. They're like, well, she's traveling with Fujifilm and she's doing this and she's doing that. So like she doesn't have time for my local work. And I'm like, no, I do.
Like, I need that.
I just don't get hit up for it anymore because people have this perception that I'm gone all the time.
Right.
I must be getting paid jobs all the time.
Yeah.
I must be working on bigger and better things. And I'm like, that doesn't mean that I don't want to work locally. Like I do want to work locally. So it's just so difficult. I'm trying to make a portfolio that is very streamlined and that kind of, is like, this is what I want to do, but I'm in a middle ground right now. I'm not a big director that's getting called 4 times a year for these 100K gigs. Like I'm not there. I'm just starting. So I'm in this weird spot of I'm not big enough to do all these crazy commercial campaigns, but people at home think I am too big to do anything back at home. So
yeah, it's the illusion of social media too. Because like if you go to your Instagram, it's very like movie-esque. The aesthetic is like, so why would I pay her to do some corporate shit?
Right.
And
exactly.
I've noticed that a little bit in my direction because I create with you. So now my social media is starting to look like that. And the other day she was like, hey, I'm about to post this road video. Do you want to collaborate, or does that not fit your grid? And I was like, no, I need to post that shit too. I got to remember to post like business worthy stuff. Otherwise, I've had problems in my DMs where they're like, oh, I thought you would be overqualified. And I'm like, no. I'm not like overqualified.
People think we're like dead ass overqualified. And I'm like, I'm flattered that you think I am overqualified. But we're in a very interesting spot where we're not qualified enough to do the crazy big stuff.
Right.
Yep.
But people at home are like, well, I can't pay you because you are too qualified to do what I'm asking you to do. And I'm like, shit, like, now what? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, now what do I do?
It's crazy because like I am grateful to call you guys friends now, but also like I've been fans of your work too as well, and I feel like almost underqualified with the stuff that you guys do in post when I see you guys. That's crazy
because I see you post stuff and I'm like, bro, that's like a whole commercial right there. Yeah.
And it's again like the style that we do, the art that we try to portray versus corporate versus for film. I think that is like the big illusion of just like yes, I am making this, but just don't be fooled by it because I'm also struggling my own way, right?
Yeah.
And there's a reason why I made this art because there's a voice that I have in it, right?
Yes.
And, I think that there's this cool barrier that just needs to be broken down. Just like, oh, this is social stuff, right? It's social. Yes, if a business like Rode or music that sees it, amazing. I'm going to get that gig, right? But I think that creating that barrier is very interesting on what you said of just like there's a wall where local people can't think of asking you like, no, that's not true. It's not true.
Yeah, there is definitely a wall per se. And that's the thing. I think if you've gotten to the level of like, I don't know, maybe Danny Gevirtz or something where he's built a very big YouTube following. So I'm sure that like he's able to focus more. Here's the thing, I don't know Danny, so maybe he's struggling too, but
he might be because he fell off of YouTube too because he got burnt out. So it's like,
but that's the thing. So it's like, it is difficult because I do want to be, ideally I would be at the level where like I am very regularly getting asked to do sports and fitness style commercial work.
Yeah.
And then while I'm not doing that, I have the time to put into my own films. And I think I have made a good balance out of that.
Right.
Truly, it's just the winter time where I get screwed over. Because in reality, like once spring and summer and fall comes, I am pretty busy. I will say I do the jobs do come. I am pretty busy, but I just want to make it clear to people that just because you see this big creator is doing something with Artlist or Music Bed or Fujifilm, it doesn't mean that all their problems are all of a sudden solved.
Right.
Like,
and I like that. It's like pulling the curtain back, really showing like, because everyone's looking up to you. It's like, I appreciate the fact that I inspire, but at the same time, like, I'm struggling just like everybody else.
Right. And I'm sure that when I get that Nike gig, when I get that, like that will be cool and I will feel like I fulfilled some of my potential, but I also can't go into that being like, oh, well, once I work with Nike, because we all have this mentality. Once I get that job with Nike, like I made it. Like that means I'm living in a bigger house.
Yeah.
That means I have a better car. That means I don't have these financial issues. And it's like, bro, really? Like the larger you get and the more things you get asked to do, like just new problems arise. Like new problems, new doubts, new fears, new everything. So it's like, I kind of have just had to be like, okay, well, this is where I'm at right now. I know that I want to get further, but that doesn't mean that I shouldn't be proud of where I'm at right now. Yes, I'm going through a slow season right now, so I am very creatively stressed because nobody's asking me to do anything right now. I know that they will ask me to do stuff as the year progresses. I know that that's coming because I've built my reputation. I've built my portfolio. But I'm a little bit anxious. I get anxious every January, February because that's always tends to be like
Well, I guess
slow.
a little segue from that, like how do you manage, like, I mean, I know personally everything, but how do you manage from an outside perspective? Like, how do you manage your stress? Like, what are your habits? What are the things you do to make life just a little bit less stressful?
I don't. I just stay stressed.
No,
No,
that's
no.
That's not true.
But there is truth to that.
We create random shit all the time just to
So the only way that I wish I was that person that like, oh my God, I'm feeling stressed. I'm gonna start eating better, sleeping better, working out, reading, journaling.
Right.
Bro, I am the worst at keeping consistent habits. The actual worst. So that's why I say my biggest way of combating these horrible mental health problems that I face is to make the stuff that I make. So I made that depression film because that was very true to that time. I was like, I don't feel good right now. So I'm about to make this film talking about how I don't feel good right now. And guess what? Everybody was like, wow, I don't feel good either. I feel the same way. So I make a lot of work with Ian. I make a lot of work in my living room by myself just to kind of like feel like I'm doing something, because I will say I am the type of person that if I'm not doing something, I am probably spiraling out of control. Like, which sucks. I hate that I'm that type of person. I wish that I could just be like, just Jay chilling with the world and just be like, it's fine that I'm not doing anything right now. Like, just chill out, just relax. Like, but God, I'm just like not that person. I'm like, if I'm not
I probably don't help to the...
You don't, because you are
I probably don't help to your fuel, bro.
He is the same way, which is, makes it that much worse. But
like,
I think
one of us are either, if both of us are spiraling, we're fucked.
Oh yeah.
But one of us are normally on the opposite end of the coin.
One
so
of
we're
us is
like,
always spiraling.
Motherfucking go! But she'll be yelling at me, or I'll be vice versa. I'll be yelling at her, and she's like, okay.
Yeah, one of us is always spiraling
Yeah.
at some point. But what's good about our personalities is that me and Ian are two very extreme people. So I think that's why we've been able to build what we have been able to build. And everybody looks at our stuff and they're like, oh, I wish I had a best friend to shoot stuff like that with, or I wish that I could do the stuff that you guys do. And I'm like, well, you're seeing the product of our extremeness on a good side.
Yeah.
You're not seeing the negative side of our extremeness, which is like me and Ian both have the tendency to just completely spiral out of control.
Yes.
Like,
bust.
It's terrible. Yeah.
I mean, with the whole theme of everything here is like, what have been your creatively stressed moments, right? And I feel like we have answered that because one, it's happened and it's also current right now, and you are still hurdling over and have hurdled other creatively stressed moments. And I think to tie into everything together, right? What would your advice be for a young creative in any type of industry, or even your type of route of the realism? What would that advice look like in you to say if it was your younger self even?
Oh my goodness. That's a good question. I feel like I need advice at some point. Like I need big time advice. No, I think what I usually tell people is, and I think I've said this on every podcast. I say this to everybody. But just listen to yourself. I think there is so many pressures that we face as business owners, as social content creators. Like there's so many pressures that it's like, you need to do it this way. You need to do it this way. It has to be done this way. This is what's going to get you views. This is what's going to make you 100K plus in a year. And it's like, you can try all those things. And that I think that's what it does take to figure out kind of who you are. But I just really urge people to like listen to themselves and listen to their strengths. I know that to be honest, I'm not a very strong business minded person. So that's why I rely a lot on my art and my passion and my drive and my people skills, because I'm like, well, those are my strengths. So let me like really hone in on those, because every time I try to hone in on my business skills, it's not it's not the greatest,
right.
you know. That's not to say I'm not good at like handling clients. I am, but when it comes to building a business strategy like John Scotty has, or maybe like you have, it seems like you have a lot of retainers. He's like that's another story for another podcast. You know, I just really urge people to listen to themselves, listen to their voice, make what you like. Especially when it comes to this social media game. And I've had to yell at Ian so many times for this. I'm like, Ian, just make what you like and don't worry about it, because when you start worrying obsessively about it, that's when you don't get rewarded. Like, I
love that.
At all. You don't get rewarded in a social media aspect. You don't get rewarded in a mental health aspect. Like,
I've been doing that a lot lately too, I think. It's finally, after she's been yelling at me for 2 years.
I've been yelling at him for 2 years. I'm like, just make what you
like. Make what you like. In 2023, I fell down the trend hole.
That was bad.
I mean, for being a fan of both of y'all, right? I think you guys have found such a voice and in yourself, and you've listened to it. Like,
bro, I love that. Like, people think that. I love that we're like bottling this thing up, but at the end of the day, also like, just we're best friends. So it's just so easy to like create, but also like, don't go with the expectation that we aren't struggling. Like a lot of times when you see shit we're creating, we just went out and did it because we were struggling.
Oh yeah. Half the time, it's funny that anytime we make something that's like really cool, like our ice bath scene, it was like me and Ian were both like so depressed one day, and we were like, we feel like shit. Like, let's go just light this ice bath scene. And then we did it. So I'm happy that we can pull ourselves out of that depression by saying to each other, hey, we both feel like shit. Let's go out and make something. But
it is cool though too, as far as like for another person would be like, I'm gonna go on a 5-mile run. Okay, I feel better. But this is your guys' outlet, which is great, and it shows in such good practice, good visuals, and just still being real to yourself though. You know, just not being hiding by an illusion or not wanting to pull the curtain down when it's really real.
I try. So. I feel like you're very good at being yourself. Whenever I see you on video, I'm like, he's so good at that. Like, he's so good at just being himself on video. Like, I feel that energy from you a lot, where you are very like, I feel like you're just secure in who you are. And maybe you could tell me I'm wrong, that you don't feel that way, but it feels like you are very secure in who you are. It shows when you get on camera. And I really like that energy about your work. So I do look up to your work as well.
Oh. I'm getting blushing now.
He's like, I'm gonna cry.
For real though, dude.
Jasmine, I mean, this has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking time.
Jasmine is the coolest person, isn't she?
Honestly.
No, well, thank you for having me. I know I could talk.
If you're not following her, follow her.
If you're not following
every
me,
social
help
channel.
This girl out.
Yeah, I've tried to be on every social channel at this point. I don't even know what my social channels are. Yes, I updated my LinkedIn. Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn.
There we go. I'm
on LinkedIn. I'm on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I kind of want to like disappear from social media at this point, but I can't. See, like, how is like this? I need to ask John. I need to get him on a podcast. Yeah, because he's like Jay chilling, and he doesn't.
Watch the podcast.
You know what? We're gonna get both of you guys on the next podcast together. I think
we always have.
We need a full hour though. I think.
Yeah,
we could talk forever.
I could talk forever. I'm sorry. I'm taking up your time.
Anyways,
all good.
No, you're good.
Love y'all.
Thank you so much.
Too. Appreciate you always. Oh, we're gonna be creating tonight.
Oh yeah, we are going to be creating tonight. Stay tuned for whatever the hell we make, because we always just pull things out of thin air.
It's crazy. She sounds, bro. You've been like the biggest mentor and inspiration to me. So I like follow her because she'll do the same for you.
Oh,
and
thank you.
Appreciate
that makes me feel good, because I feel like a hot ass mess all the time. Love you guys.
Jasmine, peace.
Bye.